and Ryan Stone. He's a halfway decent looking guy, a nice smile. You have to get through that wall because he...
79T 2458 Learning Corp, Little Red Riding Hood, take one.
Somebody find out the real names for me.
40 years of my life is in the wire that's gone. Does that make sense?
You have to get through that wall.
I only know what my heart feels.
Where they say there are Indian people pooping on our beach.
Socially retarded.
It's a spool of wire. 40 years of my life is in the wire that's gone.
Is he doing another episode on Frame? Yeah, I am. It's always Frame. It's always Frame. Morning. Hey, how's enjoying your Saturdays? It's white boy summer out there. Or as we like to call it in Toronto, Indian summer. Oh, man. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's interesting. We lost another writer today. I mean, we do it all the time. I keep telling you guys that a lot of my work isn't... It's closer to anthropology than it is to any kind of like stereotypical guru crap, because it's just like things disappear. The internet is forever, hasn't been a thing for a while. I don't know what Obama did, but it's just done. I think it was something to do with giving DNS to the UN. Once the Europeans got it, they started screwing it up. Anyway, so yeah, Why More Please's stuff's not there anymore. I've already talked to him. It's whatever. It's not a big deal. It's not like he died or anything. So I'm going to be repurposing a bunch of his stuff, getting it there. It's like an archive now. It's crazy. And he has probably some of the best stuff. Well, had some of the best stuff when it came to Frame. Keep in mind, it's not the first time he did it either. Sighthound Siege, I see your super chat. Give me 2 seconds. Let me finish the preamble, and then we'll get right to it. During the Reddit days, if you can believe this, he had his Wine More Please, and he was doing his thing. He used to be a moderator, I guess, when the Red Pill first got on, or the Married Red Pill, because he and the head of the Red Pill subreddit never got along. Fucking hated the guy. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Which, by the way, non-stop fucking Frame examples every 3 to 6 months. So here, a little backstory. The idea is the red-pilled subreddit guys, PK Atheist, who turns out to be elected New Hampshire or New England, I'm not sure which, one of the new guys, Republican Ombudsman Robert Fisher. Anyways, he liked the idea of he had grand plans of a red-pilled space that's all underneath an umbrella that he was in charge of. And so anytime somebody wanted to make a red-pilled woman or a red-pilled workplace or red-pilled parenting or any of that stuff, he's like, yeah, just make me the head mod and then do your thing. I don't really care. The Married Red Pill guys are like, nah, we're good. And he's never forgiven us since. Well, I mean, technically I was one of the rare ones that got to be a moderator on both. So I was kind of like the bridge between the two groups. And it's so funny to see a forked subculture, because what's that saying? The tyranny of the little differences or whatever? The wars and the little differences? Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. You keep reading, I'll keep writing. So yeah, it was generally somebody would put out a post, and it was either on the Married Red Pill side, some girl dad, Zach Small, like, if I could get married again, I would do it. Or on the Red Pill side, married guys are cucks. And then it would just be like a big back and forth bitch session. And it was always funny because as soon as you could tell, it was never about the actual essay or the field report. It was about egos. Because the pretense of talking about the content disappeared within 3 or 4 comments. It made me laugh so much. Because I was like, this is just like when I was in the Navy at a mess meeting, where it goes from, do we want to have free beer night on Thursday, to this department hates this department in like a split second. Now, the reason I bring up that is because Wine More Please was better than me at exposing people's lack of frame. I mean, it was just a work of art. And it turns out he didn't really have like a sophisticated thing. I, for the most part, just learned it from like happenstance, but he had like a system and it was great. I even remember his post where he talked about it. It's like men with frame and things they say, or men without frame and things they say. But before we get to that, we have a very important topic from Sighthound Siege. Hey Couch, I'm reading Frame at the moment. Do you know a good hair routine if you're in hot Florida and constantly in chlorinated water? Funny enough, the chlorination of the water makes no difference. Here's the things that matter. The hardness of your water and the humidity of your region. And the problem with Florida is I'm pretty sure your water is hard, and I know for a fact it's hot and it's humid, which sucks. Like, and I have an oily scalp. Like my hair, I could have it as long as possible. In a day, I'll look like a swamp creature. It's just I'm a sebum masterclass, which is the name of the oil, by the way, that's in your hair. It's called sebum. The idea is it keeps dust and grime out of there, and then you just wash it out. So yeah, some tricks. You're gonna have to wash your hair a lot because it is going to get wet, it is going to get humid, it's going to get oily, and it's going to get curly. I would say your best bet is to lean in on the heat. Now, I don't know. Maybe you have a dry scalp, and if you have a dry scalp, you can kind of ignore some of this. But if you have oilier hair, you just have to accept that you're going to have to, like, grind the shit out of it. Don't use oily conditioners. Don't use gentle soaps. What you want to do is just, like, strip that out of there because your body's already producing a lot more than usual anyway. On top of that, your hair, if it's like mine, it'll curl. It will go from, like, I have straight hair with a little bit of a wave to it, but you put me in a humid environment and it turns into a jerry curl. Find styles that work with that because that's all you can really do in that humid temperature. As far as products to use, I would stay away from heavy stuff and water-soluble things because you'll put, like, a water-soluble product in your hair and then by midday, it's dripping into your eyes and it's burning like a motherfucker. My guess is probably hairsprays because they tend to be dry when they're in there. I've been rediscovering mousses, so you might want to go with the mousse. It's pretty neat. At the same time, though, you're gonna have to accept there's gonna be a little bit of hair crackliness to it. So it sucks if you're the kind of guy with the kind of hair that has women running their hands through it while you're dating. If that's the case, I know there's some people that go by they just rinse their hair and clean it out and let the natural oils do all the cleaning. I couldn't tell you in that environment. I've tried it a little bit. Like I said, my hair is way too greasy to pull it off, so I don't think so. And then as far as routines go, I guess the only other thing would be about using a hair dryer or not. I know this sounds stupid. Is you're seeing my inner metrosexual come out. So if you air dry your hair, it's a gentler dry. And the little keratin, I don't know what they're called, but the pieces that make your hair strand, it's like watching a palm tree. That's kind of what your hair follicle looks like. They kind of relax and tend to just lay down. Having said that, if you apply heat from like a hair dryer, you will end up doing it quicker, which causes them to be stiffer, and your hair will have more volume. If you do that, though, you don't want to overdo it. So it's just like using the dryer. You don't want to dry your clothes until they're hot and dry because then they end up getting frizzy, you get pilling, you get your hair looking like a rat's nest, bunch of hay bales. What you want to do is dry your hair till it's touch damp, just barely damp. And then you get the benefits of a stiffer dry, more control over how you want it to look, but at the same time, you're not turning it into a frizz ball. That's one of the easiest ways to deal with this. And then straighteners. I know in the 2000s, I used to have a mini hair straightener like this. It was pretty funny. Looking back on it, I'm like, why? But whatever. Back then, people liked razor straight hair. If you're gonna use one of those, I know if you steal your wife's Dyson, she has one of those. If you haven't seen it, it's a Dyson hair dryer / hair straightener. It's like an $800 vacuum for a hair product. You'll all recognize it because you got this giant cylinder-shaped pill-looking box that's sitting on your bathroom tub or on the back of your toilet. That's what that thing is. If you're gonna use that, just realize you better not want longer hair because it does destroy the hair follicles and they'll split a lot more often. So do it if you have like 6-inch hair or less. That way you can trim it on a regular basis. It's not the best advice. That's the problem with like hot and humid, is you kind of just have to work with it. Work with what you got. Oh yeah. All right, we're getting back to the topic, but this one was so funny. Yeah, Bolt. I don't even know what Bolt is. I just know they have a decent sized thing because they had a press release. They fired the HR team for creating problems that don't exist. I knew everybody hated HR. I've watched the Aaron Clary videos. I've seen him talk about HR Karen problems. I did not realize how pervasive the hatred was. It is awesome. People hate that almost as much as they hated the ending to The Boys, almost as much as they hated The Hobbit. It was awesome. Awesome. Okay, I don't know who David Bond is. Sucks for him. Sounds like every Protestant denomination ever. Will my perm withstand the heat in Arizona? It will not. It will not. I can tell you that right now. Ryan has that gorgeous Dominican hair. Technically, it's my brother that has the Dominican hair. He has very wiry, curly. It's almost like an afro. Mine is very straight and fine. Hair cutters used to say they like it because it's straight, it's fine, it's got a wave to it, and it does what you tell it to do. Yeah, HR, when they're bad, ruin your company. That's right. And to be fair, so Misha has a bunch of stuff about HR in his corporate role. Really good Substack, by the way, for corporate stuff. Male-run departments. Way better. Getting advanced hair care tips. Dude, that was my whole 2000s thing. The metrosexual. I had frosted tips in the late 90s. I went with like slicked back undercuts in the 2000s. Straight ironing product. Like, I know what I'm doing. It's been a while, and I've been out of the game for a while. Like, this right here is just easy. It's just, technically this was just air dry with a little bit of hand work as it dries, and then a touch of mousse just as it gets crispy. And that gives me the nice, I don't want to call it, it's like the surf mullet, where it's like been sea washed with salt spray. Oh, that was something else I forgot. If you're in that hot, humid heat, the salt sprays, usually you'll see those as like a texturizer spray, and they'll use the word sea salt in them, and they usually have a type of sodium, but it's not actually sea salt. Use those, and it really helps like take the moisture out of your hair, which helps against the humidity. What's the best hair care product for my pure sable brushes for my 40K miniatures? That's funny. So when he's talking about sable hair, it's been like a very like when I was in art school. What, you mean? A guy went to art school in the military, flunked out of art school? It's like, yeah, don't worry, we're not going there. Sable is this animal. It's a French animal. It's got the softest hair. They use it for some of the nicer brushes. It seems like overkill, though, for doing a figure painting. You know? If anything, I would think you'd want a stiffer brush for that. Like, you might be able to get away with horsehair, sir. But hey, I mean, you're the one who's painting them. Yeah, let's be real. Only slobs don't care. They look. Ask me how I know. Well, that's the thing, right? Because there's this stupid idea that guys think if you give a shit about your appearance, you're gay. And the whole metrosexual thing was like a rebellion against that. 'Cause it's like, hey, how about I give a shit about looking good? Girls like it, and girls sleep with you when you look good and you smell nice and you shower every day. That's right. Take every alpha male's advice about men and women and reverse the genders, and it works good.
I love the way girls smell. I love how they always make sure, by and large, they shower, and they just have an amazing smell to them in general.
That's all you need, man. An amazing smell to you in general. Shower every day. Smell nice. Fucking wonderful. All right, anyways, back to Frame. So, yeah, and they were always so funny because the beefs involved an entire social lack of awareness. And I know it's online, it doesn't really count, but it was like a great testing environment for being social aware. Now, and I get it. It's the red pill on a subreddit on Reddit. It's the married red pill on a subreddit on Reddit. Like, we're not sending our best. I get that. Nobody is there. because they are happy and crushing it. If they were, they wouldn't be there, with the exception of the very few guys that talk about fuckology as a hobby, because they truly enjoy it, the art form. So somebody would have, now I got to give some backstory. So there was this thing called Flair, and the idea for Flair was people were arguing constantly. You know, what should you do there? What should you do there? What's the best thing he should have done there? What's he should have done that? This sucks. This is great. And some of the moderators on both sides noticed that, you know, it's kind of difficult because you're walking in as a brand new guy. You see two people arguing about diametrically opposed things, and you don't know which one makes sense. And so it muddies the waters. So the idea with Flair was, if there was people who had over a sustained period of time show they knew what they were doing and knew what they were talking about, they would put a little tag by their name saying there was like Married Red Pill approved, MRP approved. And they occasionally had some joke flares too, if you were like a particularly interesting character. Like I think they called me Hardcore Navy Red, which I'm like, whatever. But the one guy, Dave, he always loved the Navy, so I always got that. And the Red Pill side, same thing. So when a guy would get flair, that instantly turned into status. Oh, like I remember unironically seeing some guys who would talk incessantly about fucking. And then they'd go to the other subreddit. Do you know who the fuck I am? It's like, holy Jesus, bud. And Weimar Please loved that shit. When you'd make fun of a guy's flair. Look at that. You got a subreddit flair. You should suck your dick. And it's kind of where I'm going with this whole men without frame and the things they do. So if you're in a community, sub, niche, whatever, and you go in there, you're nobody. You always have to approach it like you're a nobody. You go to the bar for the first time, you go to a new workplace, you have a new friends group, you move to a different city, you join a new subreddit, you're on a new YouTube channel, whatever. Everybody has a different one. Clary's group is a completely different social group than mine, which is different than Rolo's, and God knows I know that, because every time I would be doing a collab with Rolo, some 5 assholes would threaten to fight me in the chat, and that they should be up there with Rolo. And I'm like, okay, fuck. Relax. Having said that, you might be a big deal in your own thing. Like, you might have an amazing YouTube channel on your own where you go to collab with somebody else. You may have flair on a big subreddit. You might be the coolest guy at your high school, and then you go to college and nobody knows who the fuck you are. There is not a transfer of status. And a lot of the awkwardness that comes from new situations is guys assuming there is. And that was always what Winemore was bringing up. It's like, nobody gives a shit about your flair. We do work here, dude. And that was the idea. It's like, if you want to be respected in this new space, contribute to the space. Don't flop your cock around saying, look at that, I got a tattoo from a different man. That washing brushes is the worst part of oil painting. I mean, so we're so off topic, but yeah, it is. If you guys don't know, oil painting is like just the messiest art form, I would say, ever. The washing it, some people would use like thinner, some people would just like wash them in linseed oil. I love the linseed oil smell, but yeah, oil painting, the cleaning is the worst. It's kind of at the point where you just like throw brushes away at a certain point. Anyways. So back to frame. And like this matters too for what Athel K would talk about when he was talking about formal versus informal hierarchies. And that's where you see these guys that are like successfully running companies, great businesses. They're like a very prestigious position, like they're a judge or a fancy lawyer or something like that. And then they come home and they get browbeaten by their wives. It's the same kind of thing. The status from their formal hierarchies at work are not transferable to the informal hierarchies at their home. So the wife doesn't give a shit. The kids don't give a shit. Even celebrities. They're like, I go home, my kid's like, dude, Jumanji sucked. And Jack Black's like, oh. Also, everything is flammable. I wouldn't even say flammable. I would say inflammable. It's like super flammable. And the fumes alone are enough to start fires. Yeah. I don't know how they did it back before they had electricity, when they had like torches and candles. I see the super chat. Give me 2 seconds. I'll finish this thought first, and then we'll get there. So the point is that like these things aren't transferable. So the first thing you gotta understand about frame is being able to read the room, right? You have to understand how people are going to react to to certain social situations. And in this case, being a new person in a space means you have no clout. So the best thing you can do is establish usefulness. At least for a guy space. Girls' spaces are different. They're automatically welcoming and then start to chop you down. You have to basically get into the ring with that. And I don't like it, but whatever. All right, so we got a €10 or £10, 2 pence super chat. Hey, Ryan. Hello, wet beaver looking for wood. Is that a girl handle or a guy handle? Or is that a person who just likes beavers? I don't know. I remember we talked about books. Oh, I talk about books incessantly. You mentioned a book about feminists lifting churches and drilling politicians, but I forgot the name of the book. Can you remember the name? $5.99 respectively. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. So you could be talking about Ian Ironwood's Manosphere, A Hope for Humanity, which was about the way the Manosphere kind of dealt with religion and politicians and that. You might be talking about Esther Villar's Manipulated Man, which was talking a lot about how feminists kind of ruined it and men are being oppressed and they're stupid and that shit. But lifting churches, like, is that a typo? Yeah, it's got to be one of those two. That's the only one that makes any sense. Keep in mind, too, Manosphere only has a Kindle version, and Esther Villar's book is mostly out of print, so you kind of have to Internet Archive it. So, Jesus Christ. I thought I was the art nerd. I wasn't making my own linseed oil I wasn't making my own dyes for linseed oil paintings. Fair enough. Yeah, see, that's me too. It's like there's something I'm missing. Let me know in the chat, like something about Boston and history that feminists are blowing up stuff. I know Rollo talked about that, where it was the first wave feminism or doing terrorism and such. I don't recall a book that I've read that talked about it. Like, I know the history of it. Yeah, that'd probably be a Rollo question. I mean, like, well, I'll keep it in the back of my mind. If something comes up, I'll bring it up in the chat here. But yeah, as far as I know, just anybody who has like a non-biased history of the feminist movement will have something on that. Definitely not Howard Zinn. Definitely not him. Is the RP just books, old field reports, and parasocial interactions, or somewhere guys are still figuring things out? Is there anything else to figure out anymore? I don't think so. I really don't. I think what happens, and it's been a few cycles now since the late 70s, is guys will reinvent the wheel, learn everything there is to learn about sexual dynamics, positive identity, and then some technology change will happen. Everything gets mothballed, and then we have to do it again. So like in the 60s and 70s, they would have like literal newsletters. They would mail you little newspaper pages. And then in the 80s and 90s, there was the BBS sites and the Usenets. There was like alt.fast.seduction, and they kind of invented things. And then that kind of changed when blogs started becoming a thing, or like forum websites became a thing, and the internet went large. And then that's when you had your So Suave, your Mystery Man forum or Mystery Method forums, your bodybuilding.com, which eventually transferred into guys who made their own blogs. That's where you got your Royce, your Return of Kings, your Chateau Artiste, your Rational Male. And then those kind of got dropped into the wayside via social media, like your Twitter and your Reddit. And then those kind of got dropped in the wayside by like YouTube and TikTok. And every time that happens, a 90% of the Library of Alexandria? Anyways, 90% of it gets lost. And it turns out it's not the most complex topic. Female sexuality, male positive identity, it's not a wide river. It's not a wide pool. It runs deep, but it's not wide. Arguably, what I'm trying to do as a business model here is to retain as much of it as possible during this transition where we would normally lose it. which is why I'm talking about Wine More Please now, why I'm stealing his old content that I have archived to put it into my place here. Same as I've been doing for old Ironwood stuff, now that Red Pill Room is gone, now that the subreddit is mostly gone, now that TRP Red was ruined by goofball assholes. The Married Red Pill stuff, it's like 10-year-old forum posts. Nobody's going to find that. So generally speaking, just taking that and putting it into some kind of evergreen permanence is like a big deal right now. Yeah, they can't mothball in time. But keep in mind, man, if I didn't write those books, and nobody, it's not like I was competing to get it out before somebody else. Nobody's written a book on Frame. One guy has written a book on Dread, and it for the most part was before we learned a lot about Dread, and it was full of covert contracts. If I didn't do it, it just wouldn't have been done. Like, all of this stuff would have been gone. You guys would never know any of this stuff. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this as like, there's a lot of things I haven't done yet, and these are basically gone. And there's things I've probably forgotten already, and I'll never know to bring them back. Is that a real question? How am I preserving it? I don't know. Follow the links to all of my work. What do you think all this is? Do you think it's me just inventing this shit out of full cloth? I'm very smart. Let me tell you everything there is to know. No, I'm not brilliant. I'm not a genius. I'm just a guy who has a hobby that sucks and is embarrassing. But hey, there's enough interest in it, so fuck, why not, right? This is my Warhammer figure painting. Everything you've seen in Frame, in Dread, in the Midswatch. The Midswatch isn't even me. The Midswatch, for the most part, is a lot of guys who are writing field reports with the predominant red pill guy talking about them being Jack 10 of Hearts. That was it. It was him. And it was like everybody loved it. It was great. It was educational and informative and entertaining. And then the very last episode, I talked about like the beef between me and him and how we were just a bunch of retards running our mouths on the internet to give people a sense of agency over all this. Like, look, nobody here is perfect. Nobody here is an authority. We're all just guys swapping notes. That's it. And I loved the idea of subverting the entire, like, this is a 100 video series on the authority on how to be man in a relationship. And at the end, it's like, yeah, but what do we know what we're doing? You got to use your head. I love that. So then if you're not an authority, why should I respect you? You're not supposed to, you fucking idiot. You idiot that I've just made up in my head to yell at? Of course not. You're supposed to use your damn head on these things. I'm using my head as best I can, but there's a lot of grifters who just say shit to make you feel good. Oh, they're going hard after that Indian market too, so you know they're going to say all kinds of stuff about being top dog in the third world sense of the word. Yeah, you're supposed to look at it yourself. Does this make sense with what I do know? Is this something diametrically opposed to something that I'm trying to do? Is this useful? Did this move the needle on what I'm trying to accomplish? And if the answer is yes, then keep doing it. And if not, no. And if you keep doing it, you'll probably retweet or like or pay for the things that talk about it more, and you'll probably ignore or dismiss or mock the things that don't. And in this feedback system, we end up having a body of work that kind of rises to the top, you know? The German original of Esther Villar's book is available on Amazon as a paperback. Like, is it actually available, or is it one of those $300 paperbacks? And which one? Because she apparently has 3, which I didn't know, and I haven't read the other 2. It was The Manipulated Man. Fuck. Hold on a sec. The hell was it? Oh yeah, the polygamous sex, the manipulated man. Was the tamed man her third one? God. Jesus, that forehead on her. Yeah, it was the manipulated man. Okay, so it's just the 2, the manipulated man and the polygamous sex. Which was basically describing like soft harems and shit now. You have a copy in German. If I could read German, I would like that. It'd be nice. Dude, how much hard drive space do you have? For example, I have a archive of all of my sidebar and Midswatch episodes. That is like a hard drive of data. I don't know how or why you would do that. Oh, so the tame man is the third one. Anyways, so back to Frame. It was just one of those things we learned over the years was, and it's not just about posturing. It actually correlated a lot with Venkatesh Rao's Be Slightly Evil or the Gervais Principle, which if you haven't seen, these are pretty good. It's a pretty good series of blogs and books. The Gervais Principle was about organizational hierarchy within a company. And it was the idea that there was sociopaths, there was clueless people, and then there was losers. And they mean losers in the economic sense. Like you're getting a bad deal, not that there's anything deficient about you. And the idea being that companies survived because of sociopaths in spite of themselves. And that was like that was the beauty of the corporate structure. Is that everybody was selfish and trying to scam and get their thing out of it, but somehow that moved the company forward, and so it was like basically designed to account for humans being assholes. God, that's a good one. I'm saving this. I'll talk about it in a sec. We'll get to there. So the part of it that relates to Frame and relates to the Red Pill was they would have different models of interaction between the two groups. Between sociopaths and themselves, they would use power talk, or the idea of everything you say inferring some kind of status war. Like, I'm winning status over you, you're winning status over me. To the clueless, they would do something called baby talk. Like the same way you would talk to a child or a pet. Like, yeah, you need them to be true believers in the cause. They don't really know what's going on. They're the ones that hear, like, 2 weeks to stop the spread. They're the ones that hear, like, think of all the restaurants and all the food. Like, all of those stupid memes you see on all of the things you hate, like immigration or whatever, where it's like, nobody believes this and it doesn't even make sense. Yeah, the clueless believe it. And the sociopath to loser interaction is just direct speak. They don't have to have a pretense. You have no ability to affect their power, their status, or their plans. And so they have no need to lie to you. They just tell you straight out, just do it. What the fuck you gonna do about it? That's what that stuff comes from. Which I found interesting, because you would see... Oh, and Clueless Among the Clueless, they had something they called posture talk. That's the one that was like really, really important, I found, in this example. Posture talk is like children thinking they're using power talk. You're seeing, innuendos and, I could talk to this guy and talk and I'll get more status from him. But there's no stakes. You're just playing for table stakes. And so much of the conversations and arguments between the various red pill guys, the purple pill debate, basically all the red people have all been posture talk. Almost all. I think there's been very few examples of a genuine power talk within the red pill space. And it's usually by me, and it's usually getting guys like George Buna to crash out. So I look like the level-headed asshole. Meanwhile, he looks like the psychotic. You know what I mean? And God knows it's entertaining as shit. I love it. It's very good for that. It's good for ratings. Yeah. Jesus Christ. And it's not if something happened to me, it's when. Oh, I know I'm not going to be here forever. The books will still be up. I'm not going to delete any of this stuff, but the actual epidemic men are facing isn't loneliness, it's learned helplessness. I would argue, yes, that's true. Talking about the symptom is not the same as the cause. It is learned helplessness. In a way, it's just convenience. Like, dude, even now, I am not as social as I used to be. I'm just not. And part of it's because, I'm busy. Part of it's because my friends are busy. A lot of us have moved to different towns. It's hard to stay in touch. And yeah, you can make new friends, but keep in mind, I'm in the middle of a large metropolitan city. And I know Canada's economy is bullshit, but people are hustling. People are working their ass off here just to afford groceries. It's crazy. Oh, what was the newest one? It was so funny. A girl was pointing it out. It was mac and cheese was and Campbell's soup. $5 a box and $5 a can. I was like, what the fuck? Those used to be poverty meals, 30 cents a can, 10 cents a can. 5 boxes for $1 of Kraft dinner or mac and cheese. And now they're charging, that used to be the price of a Happy Meal. $100 is the new $30. So everybody's busy and they're all working. And when everybody's working, they don't have a lot of time for this other stuff. And the problem is the people that do have a lot of time for it are ones that are either broke or independently wealthy. And both of those groups are pretty insufferable to talk to. So yeah, now it's at the point where everybody's kind of a little less social. And I'm a social guy. I'm good in public. I don't hate people. I still call them buddies now and again. We always have phone call. I'm at the point now where we have to have like phone conversations. It's fucking embarrassing. It feels like a chick. Or we'll fly down and see people. That's always nice too. Get to one of the coasts. The one nice thing is that most of our friends have solidified on either Victoria or Halifax. So it makes the trips much easier. That's too funny. Well, I guess the internet doesn't forget. So yeah, there's a bit of learned helplessness to it because when you get there, you start building coping strategies. That's why the online parasocial thing has become as popular as it is. That's why OnlyFans chicks are as popular as they are, which boggles the mind because from the few examples I have seen, they are not sending their best. I'm like, oh my God. What in God's name, woman, made you think an online career of whoring was in the cards for you? I mean, and I'm not even talking about the body type. Like, there's a type for everybody out there. There is guys who love fat chicks and guys who love thin chicks and guys who love grandmas and guys who, like, if there's anything out there, guys will pay to fuck it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like in the 2000s or the 90s or the 80s or the 70s. Yeah, the acting was kind of cheesy, but people had like a charisma to them. Even the ugly people, the ugly, crazy German porn stars, they had like a charisma to them. If you ever wanted to see what I'm talking about, go see like an old Tracy Lords interview from like the 80s. Or who's the other one? Who's the one that made like a big empire off of it? Jessica? Jane? God damn it. Somebody help me out here. She's like the most popular porn star ever. And she's like the richest porn star. I guess I can look it up. Hold up a second here. Oh, Jenna Jameson. Jenna Jameson. Fuck yes. I knew I could do it. Yeah, there's just like a charisma to them. And nowadays it's like nobody has charisma. Even just to see them on Twitter. How do they get engagement to get OnlyFans? They're like just bland, boring pablum. And I can only imagine their performances are probably reflecting that. So I'm like, are we that down bad that it's like not the most attractive women with kind of meh personalities, meh star power, meh performance, and they're making millions of dollars a year? I'm just like, dude, no wonder you guys are watching me. No wonder. He's at least somewhat animated, somewhat charismatic. And in the land of mids, the mids plus one is king. No, this one's real. I was really trying to remember. I completely forgot. Well, they all become Christians. They all become Christians. No, it was a real concern. I don't play into that whole, oh, the porn star thing. You're such a goon. Fuck off, man. It's just, like, let's just be honest. Everybody kind of knows these things. Everybody remembers the classics. The Tracy Lords. Fuck, I forgot her name again. Fuck. Anyways, yeah, it's like, whatever. They're just name brands. You're going to know who they are. If you start naming off some, like, abstract ones that are in the middle of nowhere, like Dan Baltic, famous author of Nutcranker. Oh, it made me laugh. He was talking about angels or something like that. And then he brought up Gianna Michaels. And I just thought that was the funniest shit ever. Because that's like, I think that's an obscure enough name that the fact that so many guys knew it right away meant we clearly know what we're talking about here. We don't need to bullshit. Their performance on socials is bland because they get flagged to oblivion and banned. I don't know what to tell you, man. There is a ton of girls that show nudes on Twitter that do just fine. There's people with sex tapes out there that do just fine. There's people selling sex that do just fine. Remember the chick that was dating Troy Francis for a while? Ty Lopez? What the fuck was her name? Dude, I feel bad because I'm forgetting everybody's name. Taylor. God damn it. All right, who here's the gossip person? Who was the girl that was dating Troy Francis that was the porn star? Started with a T. It was like Taylor. Tiffany Fox. Thank you. Tiffany Fox. She's never had her account deleted. And she's not even that good at social media. Like, it was the funniest shit ever, man. So, like, she's hanging out with Troy. Now she's dating Troy. So we're like, all right. So we all kind of interacting her. She's actually a really pleasant person. Fairly nice. Not my type, but whatever. That actually makes it better when they're not your type, because then you don't like, whatever. Oh, dude, that's so funny. Christy Canyons. I remember her too. I never watched anything because that was way before my time, but I do remember the name just because the name is so fucking funny. And it's Canyons, plural. Oh, wait, go. Anyway, so yeah, so she did a thing there where she was trying to go internet influencer. She's like, I've given up porn. I'm going to do my thing and whatever. It lasted like 6 months. And then she's like, you know what? I just love fucking and money too much. So I'm out. I'm back in. But it was funny because she's like against porn. I don't like porn anymore. I'm not doing porn. But there was a lot of sites that she had content on. And there was a bot set up so that every time somebody bought one of her videos, it would send a clip onto her Twitter thing. And it was just so funny. It's like, I hate porn. And then the next videos are sucking dick on there. I like send a message. I'm like, hey, like if you're doing the whole I'm over the porn thing, it's probably not a good look that you're having clips being sent out with these bots. You might want to talk to your IT guy. Anyways, the point is, she never got flagged. She never got taken down. A little bit of charisma. All it takes. It's like and the longer I'm in this space, the more I kind of turn around to the idea of genetic determinism, which I know is not a twist you're expecting. It's just, it doesn't seem to matter what information you give, what examples they're given, how easy the playing field is made, how much hand-holding people get. There is a certain group of men and women that just will fuck up. No matter what you do, no matter what you give them, no matter how helpful you've been, they will fuck it up. They just will. And there's nothing you can do about it. And that the only option you have is to cut ties with them as soon as possible, because not only will they take themselves down, they will be like a drowning man. And if you try to save them, they will drag you down with them. And Vox talks about all the time. He calls them gamma males, which is kind of a surrogate for antisocial personality disorder. But there's a certain level of just like incompetence added into. It's probably his best work for being red pill adjacent. It gets talked about a lot in the red pill spaces, but yeah, it's just best to avoid these people. And again, that's another frame thing, is to understand, like to read the situation, read the room, get a read for people, because audience capture by a gamma male is absolutely ridiculous. You don't want that. Guys are telling you what to do, and they're in the chat and they're sending you super chats and they're like, yeah. And you're like, holy shit, my comments just blew up when I started talking about this dumb shit. I better talk more about this dumb shit. And I've talked about it before. This is a minority of a minority of a minority. It's something, and speaking of Reddit, it's something we figured out in the Reddit days. Out of 100 people that, and this like, it was from like a theory of Reddit post, which is back then when guys were trying to analyze social media stuff. Deceptively wonderful gold mine for social media savviness. And one guy was just noticing, he was doing the numbers, and for every 100 people that read your post or watch your content or whatever, out of 100 people, maybe 5 of them will actually have an account on that site. So only 5 people on Reddit who see your things actually have a Reddit account. Only 5 people out of 100 on YouTube actually have a YouTube account. And then you take, out of the 100 people that have accounts that are watching your stuff, maybe 5, 10 of them will like it, upvote it, or whatever button interactions there are. Maybe. That's it. And you take 100 of those people that are willing to upvote or like or whatever, or engage with your thing, maybe 5% of those people comment. That's you guys. You're the 5% of the 5% of the 5%. And of all those people that comment, generally speaking, about 3/4 of them are there to bitch and moan and yell and argue. That's it. So there is a huge bias social media filter. And it makes you understand why a lot of TV people say people don't know what they like until you give it to them, because you're not getting accurate feedback. And I've watched it, man. I've watched a lot of guys on here who are generally nice, well-spoken, good ideas, and then they just start listening to the audience, and it's the worst thing ever. And it's no different to like a subreddit. It's no different to like an essay or a blog comment. It's just like, who has the frame in that situation, you know? Same thing. Nagged by your wife. Here's the perfect example that everybody can relate to. Do you remember that friend you had in college? Remember that friend you had in the military? Remember that friend you had in high school? Remember that guy? He was awesome. He was the king's king. Haven't seen him for a couple of years. You come back and he's just being browbeaten by his wife. You know that guy? Billy. Remember Billy? Billy. Oh, dude, it's classics. Debbie does Dallas was the only one I remember, but there's like 18 of those series. The funny thing is, I don't even know what Debbie looks like. I just remember the series was so fucking funny as like a thing. Yeah. That's why nobody asked for this. This is bullshit. Where am I going with this? Oh, sorry. Back to the thing. Yeah. So, listening to other people, you can't do it because they don't know. And most of the time, they're just there to bitch, and they're there to moan, and they're there to complain. And if you're an online manosphere content creator, which is not even really a term, but if you're a guy online and you talk about sex at all, everybody gets a chance to download their insecurities, their gripes, and their grievances onto you. And if you're stupid and you listen to the audience, you start to think, you know what's great? Selling grievance. If you've ever wondered why every red pill guy online always talks about anger phase shit and stokes up anger, that's the mechanism that happens. I'm not even saying they're bad people or have ill intentions. It's just that's how you get sucked into it. So who has the frame in that situation? I would argue it's the audience, which is funny because the audience has no frame. They're very impulsive and emotional, and they have no filter, and you're letting those people control your life. So on this end of the thing, I always find it's hilarious because they'll steal my content and frame, which I've stolen from other people, but I'm calling it mine now. They'll steal my stuff and they'll talk about frame this and frame that and frame this and frame that and then crash out because somebody with a $5 super chat in the goddamn comments is like, talk about the cuck article, sir. Yeah, if incels knew so much about women, why do they suck with women? And that's exactly what I'm talking about, by the way, when I mentioned 20 minutes ago the Gervais principle. Sociopaths, the losers, and the clueless. It turns out it maps really well to the sexual marketplace. Really well. You got the Chads, the sociopaths. They're the BPD chicks that run through men, and they're the guys that have like a harem of 20 chicks on speed dial, like those type of guys. Those are all the sociopaths. Then there's the clueless ones. Those are the regretful one-night stands. They're the guy who bought dinner for the girl who just used them for a meal and kind of doesn't put out but keeps them around as an orbiter. And then there's the losers. Those are the ones that don't get laid, and they get very angry about it. That's how that dynamic happens. The sociopaths talk to the other ones, you know, like love bombing and shit like that. It's the baby talk. Amongst themselves, it's just power talk, and they don't care. It's going to fucking be fun with it. But the losers, oh, you don't have to. That's why guys are like, oh, I know what women are like because they're honest with me. It's not that they're honest. They just have no reason to cater to you at all, and they just treat you like shit. I get it. Because, yeah, it's like, what's the saying? You want to find out what a woman's really like? Have her talk to somebody she doesn't need anything from. Well, in fairness to this, incels talk too much about women, don't get them. In fairness to this, hockey players all talk about winning the Stanley Cup, even though most won't. Just saying. Of course that's what they're going to talk about. Hey, I have this giant deficiency in this hole in my life. I'm going to hyperfixate on this, which sucks because they're fixated on the wrong parts. It's one of the things I love about doing the workshops and talking field reports is because you will see very clearly after like your first dozen or so field reports that guys focus on entirely the wrong details when it comes to anything. Which makes sense, because if you're not succeeding in something, that's probably why. But you don't know what you don't know, right? So if you're talking about, like, an example, it's from an old one. I'm not going to do any talking out of shop here, but most guys who come into the workshop or the married red pill, it was just something to the effect of like, why won't my wife be nicer? Why won't she be less shitty? And why won't she fuck me more? basically. And a lot of guys, they'll come in, they'll be angry, and you kind of you get them in with the anger face stuff, and then you slowly turn them into, okay, so what are you going to do about it type content, right? And that's where, like, the getting in shit, like, making sure you got your shit in order first. Look good, dress nice, smell well, have a good fitness thing, don't eat like shit, be somewhat charming to talk to, have your hair looking good, wear aviator shades and Hawaiian shirt, and then you'll be in there, right? All right, you're attractive? Good. Now, do girls respond to it? It's like, actually, yeah, a lot of my friends' wives respond well to it. Does your wife notice that? Oh, yes, she notices that. Fuck, every month. At least somebody, one guy in the workshop will be like, it's funny, I was just out doing something or other. And then some chick showed me a lot of attention. And then my wife blew me on the way back home. It's a story as old as time. If you want to get laid, the best thing you can do is have another chick hit on you in front of your wife. Fuck, man. Talk about the article, Ryan. Well, first off, $10 super chat. On the nose, and you know what that means.
So the meme, they're very good. This is really, they've taken it.
True Alpha.
Named Ryan Stone.
It says, ask Murphy about the article he wrote, cuckolding his wife. Clear up the cuck article. Clear up the cuck article.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me?
If I wasn't prepared to literally impoverish his entire bloodline,
I am now concerned for my career.
And I still recommend clear up the cuck article.
You know what? Fuck you for bringing this up. Yeah. Fuck you. Heartfelt.
I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
Just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
It is just...
That's great. That's you should.
Fuck you.
Sorry, apologies.
Just keep going, dude. One foot in front of the other. Before you know it, this will all be in the rearview mirror. Fuck you.
Talk about the article, Ryan. I'm assuming you mean the men with no frame and things they do. I kind of am talking about it. Thank you very much for the super chat. No, I didn't want to just start dictating it up and down because we kind of can go so much better on it. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. All right. Where's I going with this one? Fuck, I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. One of the best ways. Just get another girl to hit on you in front of your wife. And sometimes the answer is even easier. Sometimes the answer is just try to fuck her more, which you wouldn't think would be an issue. You're like, you want to get laid more, so are you trying to get laid? No. Why is that? And you'll read the field reports and you see what it is. It really is. The back of the comment from a little while back from the passport, it is a learned helplessness. Like, yeah, they'll get shot down a couple times. Maybe it's a particularly bad week, bad month, whatever. But then you'll get to situations like, well, I was in the bedroom, I was going to make my move, and she didn't look like she's too interested, so I just gave up. And that was it. She kind of gave me side eye, she looked, whatever. Like, no pushing, no doubling down, and not even waiting for, like, clear signals of girl not wanting to have sex. You know, like those, you know these one signals that you have that are ambiguous, like, I don't want to have sex with you, when they say that? No? Most guys don't. You know why? Because it never gets to that point, because guys quit because the girl, like, does a people's eyebrow or some shit like that. And they're like, well, that's it for me. I'm out. Tapping out on this one. UFC fighters out in the ring gets one shin kick and they're like, nope, done. That hurt. I didn't expect this to actually be uncomfortable. I just thought you were going to run into my punches and then drop to the floor. So sometimes it's easy stuff like that where you just like try to fuck your wife more. And then she just gives in and responds. Of course, that's when you find out it's not actually what guys want. Guys want their girls to act like a porn star in bed. To which, you know, fuck her like a porn star in bed, and they tend to get into it. It's just one of those things about women. They're very reactive that way. But we're talking about frame right now. We're not talking about sex. You get to this point, and the guy will spend, you know, depending on how switched on they are, a couple weeks to a couple months, hopefully not a year, but, you know, people are the way they are. And they'll start to get a sex life started up again. They're like, oh, fuck, this is nice. But they're thinking about all those fucking grievances over the year. Remember that time she shot you down on your birthday? Remember that time she made fun of you for asking for a hand job? Remember that time she offered you a birthday hand job wearing gloves? And yeah, that was a real one. That was on the mids watch. Like, all kinds of weird shit like that. And the guy will remember all of this. And he's like, he's got fuck you bitch on the brain, right? And then the idea is like the girl will do something like she'll initiate with him, try to give him a blowjob in the morning or something like that. And the guy will just like shut it down, just hard rejecting her. Like, yeah, that'll teach you a lesson, you bitch. Don't you ever reject me. See how it feels? Which I would argue is about as useful as yelling at your dog for shitting on the floor. Not because he shouldn't have shit on the floor, not because you're angry about it, because the dog shit on the floor 20 minutes ago and has no idea why you're yelling at him now. So all he sees is, my master's a fucking dick. And you're like, yeah, but every time I yell at him, he looks like he feels really bad. It's like, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Dogs just know when you're aggressive and you're running the pack, because you're a human, you are, they look submissive and you'll stop yelling at them. That's all they've learned. I've learned when you're crashing out to look sad, so you'll stop crashing out and I don't have to worry about getting a boot. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like a similar version of what's happening in these relationships. But that's when you realize, like, who had the frame here? Part of frame is just knowing what you want. Like, yeah, did you want to get laid more? All right, well, here you go. You're getting laid more. And then you start bringing up other shit. Well, is that what you really wanted? It's like, no, I want her to validate how hard it was for me to get moderately rejected for 6 months. Were you actually rejected, though, or did you just stop trying? It's mostly the latter. A little bit of the former to kind of kick the ball rolling. That's that learned helplessness again. And I'm not saying it's this easy for everybody either. This is a specific situation I'm talking about. A lot of guys, it does take. I had to lose 50 pounds this year. I had to stop doing crack. I had to lay off the hookers. Like, they really do have a decent amount of effort to put in. And other guys are definitely like, my wife's a fat, ugly, frigid cunt, and I got to get out of here. There's that too. There's these. I'm not talking about those right now. I'm talking about the bell curve people. You know, the middle of the bell curve people that just stop trying. They act like defective women, and nothing is more defective woman in a relationship than a heterosexual couple having lesbian bed death. You know? Lesbian bed death. Fine, I'm convinced to buy the nonfiction books too. Jesus Christ. Buy them if you want to. Like I said, they're kind of like, a lot of people assume they're self-help books, and that's Frame, and that's Dread, and Praxeology, and Field Reports, and The Best of Men. They're not self-help books, although they can service that. They're more so a cultural anthropology of the space of guys who are looking to solve their sex lives. And the big concepts of what came out of it was Frame, Dread, Game. And I'm not writing a game book because everybody has a game book. And all I would do is just rip off everything from like Mystery and Roosh anyway. So it's like, just go read them. It's easier. Everything has been understood. But yeah, it's good. It systematizes things. It adds a narrative structure around it. And the beauty of it is the narrative structure, it doesn't have to be scientifically accurate. Because if you really want to get scientifically accurate about the frame a guy should have, it should be 100% deferential to women, 100% sacrificial to women. Everything is geared to get her to have as many babies and do as well as possible while you suffer. Historically speaking, that's how most populations propagated. Problem is, we're in a land of abundance right now, and so all those sacrifices don't mean shit. There is no barbarian hordes to fight off. There is no last stand. Get out of here. I'll stop them here at the gate. And he pull out a pistol like Leonidas. No. Well, yeah, the real superpower is for every guy to stop caring about the shit that doesn't matter to yourself. I would say that's easy. This doesn't matter. It's to understand why it doesn't matter. That's the tricky part. Is we can't identify the problems. We don't even know the problems. And God knows, as Americans especially, but I'd say it's a Western thing in general, is we build up proxy grievances. You know that whole women horror thing you see online, guys yelling at women for whatever? Most of the time, that's just a proxy for their own personal sexual inadequacies. And it doesn't help that a lot of the grievances are true. That actually is what makes it harder to detect. Well, 8 out of 10 divorces are initiated by women. That is true. That is true. But that's not why you care about that. You don't care about the abstract idea of marriage rates. Didn't you say you don't want to get married anyway? Well, yeah, but it's just not right. It's like, so the issue here is a sex issue. You're using that as a proxy so you can't talk about what's honestly on your mind, because then that adds a vulnerability to what you're saying, and you can't have that. It's another reason why I love this space is because that anonymity and that lack of ego battles and pissing matches is kind of what lets it function. And that's why I loved watching One More Please take down a lot of these guys dick wagging and posturing and dick measuring, because they are actively ruining the idea of the space. Because you have to be able to go in to a space that's about this and talk about embarrassing shit. Because it is. Anytime you're not crushing it in life, anytime you're not fucking sexual mondingo, it's fucking embarrassing, right? There's the level of competence. If you're premature ejaculating with your wife or girl you just met, 30 seconds, that's all I lasted. That's embarrassing. But you got to be able to talk about it somewhere. But you can't talk about it socially. All the women in your life will, fuck that guy. All the guys in your life, hey, dickless wonder, what's going on? Every time you have a beer for the rest of your life, so yeah, you're just not bringing that up there. But you become red-pilled Chihuahua 2069 on fucking Reddit or something. Yeah, you can talk about this shit because nobody knows who the fuck you are. Nobody will ever know who you are. So it doesn't matter. And now that it doesn't matter, you can be honest. It's like a 4chan thing. We realized it. Yeah, there's no social benefit to any of this. So you're free to talk ego-free. And so a guy will bring that up. And here's the thing. And this is the part that I love. He'll bring it up. Other people will bring it up. You're like, isn't that a loss of frame to admit weakness? It's like, no, it's not a loss of frame to admit weakness. It's a loss of frame to seek validation for a moment of weakness. If you make a boys club of like erectile dysfunction people, or I don't know, the Asian masculinity subreddits, which, oh my God, that existed. Yes, it existed. And it's just as cringe as you think. I'll tell you what it is. It is a group of sexless Indian and Chinese men bitching that their women all fuck white guys until they're 30. It's the equivalent of like the way white guys in America talk about black guys in America. It's the way Indians and Asians talk about white guys. It's just massive. Like they're like the cuck chair and they'll fuck all the white guys till they're 30 and then they want to marry a good Asian boy to impress their parents. And everything is because of race. Every now and then one of those guys will sneak into the red pill proper and everybody there hears the same thing. Nobody gives a shit that you're Asian. You have an IT tech support haircut. You're dressed in Kirkland signature gear. Your accent is so thick and annoying that nobody can understand you. And all you talk about is bobs and vagine. And you're socially awkward. Fix all of that shit and you'll be surprised that nobody will care that you're Indian. Which is absolutely true. What? Dude, we're online. Nobody's doing any of this shit. Nobody's kicking nothing and nothing. After this, I will literally go to Costco and have a hot dog and a wonderful time. None of this shit matters. I mean, it matters, but the theater of it doesn't matter. The stuff that you apply, that's what matters. Yeah, it was at the point, even Uncle Vaz, one of the resident Chads, had his thing where you had to crush white pussy as an Indian man. And that was his thing. All those things that make the white man attractive will make you attractive. You just have to do them. What do you mean? Well, get a proper haircut. Stop stinking. Wash regularly. Don't reek like curry. Look, I get it. India has had a giant PR nightmare. And so you have a lot of stigma. Let's say you're a good Indian man and you'd have been great and all this stuff and you moved here and you live in Canada now and you're like, yeah, I can't get it. It's like, yeah, well, you got to understand. If you are, and I'm using a metaphor here, if you are a black man dressed in woo wear at the store, aggressively talking to people and walking with a limp, they're going to assume you're a fucking drug dealer. The easiest way not to get thought of it as a degenerate drug dealer is stop acting and looking like a drug dealer. Same thing, but for Bob and Vagine himself. And of course they didn't want to hear that because they were too busy. Their frame was, we are in a big hug circle. All of this stuff is against us. They are the problem. I'm not the problem. And it was just a series of proxy wars. And that's how you end up with status problems. Status problems. Then, because their real life persona ain't shit, their online MGTOW 42069 XX became their identity. And that's me now. That's more me than me. They bought their mark. And then they have to one-up each other. Oh, 8-10 divorces? Well, I'll tell you this right now. Hypergamy, 80% of women only date top 20% of men. Well, I'll top that one. And they're all one-upping each other. And then you get all the way to the top where this guy's like, yeah, there's this fruit fly study. There's this mouse utopia experiment. The fruit flies have microchimerism. A fruit fly bitch will fuck like 8 fruit flies and store pieces of their DNA and build like a little Frankenstein baby that's all Chad and none of yours and make you raise and pay child support. It's like, what the fuck are we talking about? And if you're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, this is a real conversation happening amongst hundreds of thousands of young, retarded men. And I don't know how to tell you that it sucks that I should know that it even exists. And you shouldn't know it exists, but it exists and they are there. And they are slowly poisoning everything you like. Because again, most of you, 100 people that watch your things, 5 of them do this. Out of those people, 5 of them do this. It's a percentage of a percentage of a percentage. And these guys are fucking retarded. And you cannot let them spoil your thing, because you have to have your own worldview. You have to have your own frame. And in this case, this is why I like sticking with the basic stuff. The idea of frame control, the idea of understanding your own worldview. What is it that truly matters in your life? What are proxy battles that you really don't need to give a fuck about? Your wife's bitching at you one day. Do you need to be in a bad mood? Why? Because she was bitching at you? No. I was in a good mood before she started bitching. I listened to what she was bitching about. I decided it's something either that's not important and she's just being neurotic and spiraling, or it is important to her and I don't care. And either way, none of this affects if I'm in a good mood or not. Unless I'm like, she should be nicer to me. It's like, no. She's going to do what she's going to do. She's going to bitch and she's going to moan. And you're like, okay, it sucks. You'll fog. Use a negative inquiry. You'll use amused mastery. You might even nuke it. Bitch, I'm in the greatest day of my life. Shut the fuck up about your mother-in-law. I don't care. Which I guess would be about mom, but whatever. Frame. It's all about frame. Men with no frame and things they do. Wife starts bitching at them. They start getting mad back. Their emotional state flips on a dime. Why? Because the girl told them, I'm mad. You need to be mad. I need you to reflect my insecurities back on me. And what do the guys do? Oh, fucking yeah. Like, oh. Drives me nuts. Because like so much of it is that. You'll talk to a guy too. My wife's a bitch. She does this. Now I'm in this box. Like, she put you in that box. Well, technically you put yourself in that box. She asked you very adamantly to be in that box, and now you're in that box. Well, what do you do about that? Well, just don't be in that box. You can just decide not to be angry. Of course you can. What was she bitching about? And 9 times out of 10, the girl's not even bitching. They're just processing shit. But women are neurotic. They'll have this whole long story about the kids eating peanut butter is going to cause a famine in Africa and all kinds of shit. And then Cindy at work, who's trying to fight me on some other goofy bullshit's bringing up this. And then my mother-in-law is talking about this. And then you're just like, none of this matters. This doesn't affect whether you're getting laid that night. This doesn't affect whether you're going to have spaghetti for lunch or not. This doesn't affect your workout. So why are you getting worked up over it? Well, sometimes it's very important. Sometimes it is. And if it's important, chances are you'll deal with it. Oh my God, my wife's freaking out. Why is that? Because some grown man is beating up our child. Okay, that's something I'm going to go deal with. You go beat the shit out of that guy, you come back. But you're still not fucking matching her energy on it. You're solving your problems because you have what you want in life. I want my family to be nice and happy and healthy. And you spazzing out's not helping me clock this guy in the face. Get away from him. It's a baseball game, not a Thunderdome. You know? Dude, sometimes the sidebar conversations are just funnier than the thing here, man. Too fucking funny. Canadian tip is in such an odd part of Toronto. I'm surprised Ryan's never talked. Yeah. If only I ever talked about how fucking brutal. Dude. If only Ryan would talk about only Ryan would buy a pink fuck Trudeau hat. And it sucks because I barely got to wear it. I only got to wear it for like 6 months. And then he left to go fuck Tyler Perry or whoever it was he was with. Now if I wear it, it seems like out of place. You know? It'd be like wearing a Ron Paul 2012 shirt. Favorite part of it too was because it's like pink and the text is white, you can't really see it from a distance. So people just see a pink hat. And then as they get closer, you'll watch them look and you're like, oh, and then they pretend not to see. It's pretty funny. Yeah. So you learn a lot of men with frame and the things they do. So the essay, I took it from Wine More Please. I've basically rewrote it too because, like, I got it here. Men with no frame and the things they do. His is a wonderful one. It kind of brought up like an internet pissing match he had when somebody was like talking about their complaints about their wife. And then he like pointed out some obvious frame stuff. So his technique that he used, I was talking about like an hour ago, that he always tests to see if a guy's have a frame because he has limited time online like the rest of us. And so he wants to make sure he's not wasting his time talking to somebody who's just useless. And so he'd obviously throw out these little frame tests. Where did it go? Yeah, so he'll say, and we used to do this in the military too. He will throw out a needlessly aggressive statement, like an insult, and then couch it in between useful information. And he would see. So if a guy had frame, he would ignore the tone and focus on the content. And if the guy didn't have frame, they would focus on the tone and ignore the content. And that's where it turns into a pissing match. You know, how can she slap? You call me an asshole? How dare you? You're an asshole. Where is the... There one is. So it was, and this is a normal field report, just some random guy. He's been here for a year. He lifts, he reads, he goes to the sidebar. He initially went Rambo, had the anger phase. Then he's kind of settled down into normal. He's working on himself. And generally speaking, the relationship has not changed with his wife. He's been full of anger towards her. Everything she does or doesn't do pisses him off. He's trying to work out where it's coming from. He can't get a handle on it. The lifting is good. And he's like, I'm not nice to her anymore. And he goes, what's the point of doing all this stuff if she still isn't nicer and she still doesn't fuck more? Is this my ego? Is this a me problem? He's just confused. He's like, everybody here's talking about outcome independence, but your lives are all getting better and mine's not. Of course he's missing the point. The point isn't to teach your wife to fuck you more. The point is to have options and then to excise those options. But that's the problem. When he has something like that, a lot of the commiserates come in there. He's like, and one of the other guys like, it's hard as hell to project positivity and to be the fun alpha that everybody's talking about when you're busting your ass at the gym, at work, around the house, and with the kids and getting zero recognition for it, which is the key word right there. Where's my recognition? It's like, dude, if you're doing this for recognition, which is just thinly coded validation, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Well, why am I working out then? Because you want to be in shape and look good. Well, why would I want that? Because other girls will fuck you. Yeah, but my wife's not fucking me. I didn't say your wife. I didn't say that. She gets an option. But I didn't say she gets it. You can't force people to do anything they don't want to do. But if she didn't want to fuck you because you were an ugly fat slob, you can fix that. Yeah, I've been doing dread for months. Shit hasn't changed. We're told to give less fucks and whatever. I took her out to a nice dinner, fun and flirty, blah, blah, blah. And then she still just fucking ghosts me on the way to bed. And like right there. So Winemore's like, this is a great learning opportunity, but there's also a chance that this is just a fucking retard. So he's like, yeah, you're not supposed to project positivity, you stupid bitch. There it is, the insult. Positivity is something you have. You're supposed to embrace life for what it is. Otherwise, all this shit is horseshit and you're just pretending to be a clown. Here's a hint, clowns aren't actually happy. And by the way, everybody knows you're going to be autistic and fuck this up. Anyway, it's on you not to fuck this up. And instantly the guy responds to it with like posturing and dick measure. Remember I was talking before about the Gervais principle? Posture talk. There's no stakes in this, but he's talking like it's some power talk. Maybe you're talking about yourself when you say autistics. It's like, oh, fuck off. But that's when you realize, like, it's just, they don't want, and I know it's like a Rich Cooper line, so I'm stealing here. They don't want to win. They just want to argue and bitch and moan and blame somebody else for their problems. And they get so caught up with little posture games. It's like power games. It's like status, but not really. You're just playing with table stakes. And they get caught up in that. Because it's more fun to argue. To be Destiny online is way more fun than it is to be useful online. You know? But it's a great technique he would use. It's like, yeah, just, and that was it. He was saying that was the core of it, the meat of it, the content of it. is that positivity isn't a suit you put on. It's not clown makeup you wear. You aren't dancing like a monkey. You're supposed to be having the kind of life that gives you a positive outlook on things. You're supposed to enjoy life for what it is. And if the things in your life aren't enjoyable, why are you doing them? Because if you're just doing them to impress the girl, you're just acting like a clown, and all this shit is just bullshit. Which is true. What the fuck are we doing here if it's just being clowns, dancing in front of women, hoping to give us a crumb of validation? It's like, is that what we're meant to be? No. I'd argue no. And even if it is, I don't want it. And what was his response? Oh, you must be an autist. Like, all right. Again, that's a simple, it's an online, it's a manufactured example. Well, not so much manufactured as it was just like, they aren't as sincere as like real life examples. But real life, it's the same thing. I remember when one of my friends was retiring from the military. I hate now that I have like retired friends now, but whatever. Makes you feel old. And yeah, I get it. They can retire at 38, but still feels old. We went out on a sailboat, went did some sailing. It was pretty good. That's where the photo came from, my Twitter profile of me sailing. It was like a schooner, 25-footer, something like that. Anyways, so one of the guys like, yeah, what did you do now that you left the military? And I was like, oh, I'm an influencer now, and I just run my own business. He goes, oh, that's cool. And he had all kinds of questions like, I'd really love to do that. And so I just give him some tips, like, here's what I did, and here's what worked. And then he starts just like focusing on the tone and not the content. Oh, I don't know about that. He starts mumbling. And that's when I realized it's happened about a dozen times before. Anytime you tell them that you work online, you do a podcast, the tax situation, like anything about this at all. If I tell anybody I know in real life about it, they sound very interested. They want to do it. And then as soon as like work gets involved, they start humming and hawing. And I've just learned to realize that they don't actually want to be free from like the military structure or a boss or any of that shit. They just want the idea of wanting it. And I'm pretty sure that comes with sex lives guys too. They don't want to have more sex. They don't want to have more sex with their wives. They want to long for it. And I think the reason why is because so long as you leave it in that nebulous zone of never actually trying to achieve it, you never have to answer that fundamental question of, am I actually able to get that in life? Because that is a rejection, man. If you try your best to do something and fail, that means there's something wrong with you. You're that star athlete. I was the best in high school. I was the best in college. I got in the NFL and I didn't win the Super Bowl. I tried my best and I couldn't do it. He's probably fucking pissed. Fuck, I'm defective. I'll never be good enough. And they retire and they join a car dealership or something. Same thing. And a lot of guys are terrified of the idea that they don't measure up to this stuff. And so they would rather live in that zone where it's like, I could have gone pro, but my damn knee. As long as it's something else you can blame, you can believe, like, I should have won a Super Bowl. I could have won a Super Bowl, but I was busy. I would argue a lot of the shitty decisions. A friend of mine, Olympic-style wrestler, he was fucking awesome. The only reason he didn't get into the Olympics is because he was 17 at the time. But he was massive, like a 300-pound man. Like, he was one of those guys that's 300 pounds, can dunk a basketball kind of thing. Pro wrestler, used to walk up and down stairs in his hands. The man could jump from tree to tree like a fucking orangutan. He was just insane. Insane. And what happened? He ended up getting married, having kids, lost into his dreams. She kind of accused him of abuse, took the kids away. He had to start divorce, getting his own thing again. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. And I'm not saying he has a better attitude than this, but I'm saying like that kind of thing is where a lot of guys get the, yeah, I could have been. And they like having the shitty wife there because that's an example of like, that's my excuse. She's the reason I'm not great. And I'm like, it's such a lazy thing to do. You could be so much more, or at the very least know for sure that this is your place now. And that's, I would say there's almost a solace in that. You try your best to do whatever it is you're doing and you fail. Now you know what you're capable of. I know this is as far as I'm ever going to make it, and that's okay. Because more often than not, as far as you're going to make it is fine. It's fine, man. Heck, even the military. When that stupid espionage shit happened, I was a master seaman at the time. And I did the math, so you'd see how anyways, so about the evaluation process, the way it works, You need so many years with so much performance to get to a thing. And that setback basically showed me the way the career path was going to go. So I knew the best I was ever going to do. And I was like, yeah, I don't really want that. So I just moved on. And then sure enough, my buddies who all stayed in, they all experienced that same career path. And then they got to the retirement age at that career path that I saw. And, you know, they aren't generally happy with it. Most of the time they got medical issues with it too. And so you see. Now, I'm not saying this is as a fault on them at all. Maybe this is what they want, and that's fine. But I'm just saying, for me, I saw the best I was ever able to do. And I'm like, that's good. I'd be happy with it. If it's not good, I'm not going to do it. And that's where the risk comes in, right? Start something new. Start something new. With girls, divorce your wife, start a new girl. There's a few guys in the workshop. I'd like to say that it's all full of guys that turned their marriages around and their wives became sex kittens, and that happens. Happens a lot. But there's a few guys who are like, you know what? Nope, not doing this. They just fucking hand her the papers, and it's like, yeah, this ain't working. And it starts a whole new set of skills they have to develop. You'd be surprised during a divorce proceeding how many guys are still treating it like she's their wife and their partner, and they just get screwed in it. So a lot of it is just training guys to start being selfishly self-interested and understand the changing nature of your marriage relationship. She is now an enemy. Don't need to give her information that she can use against you. Decide from a position of strength. Well, it's like, I don't want her to be down. Like, that's fine. But you need to have that as an option. And the only way you have the option of you both being treated equitably in a divorce is for you to have as much power as you can and give that equality from a position of strength, because she will not give it back. I don't care how much she loved you in the past, she won't. But anyways, so back to the story of frame. You realize in this marriage, this is the best it's ever going to be. Is that good enough for you? Some guys say yes. And that's the other thing too. I've talked about it in Dread, the 5 outcomes. Some guys decide, all right, I've done my best. This 4 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 marriage is as good as it's going to be. And you know what? I've come to terms with it. I'm okay with it. It's fine. No shame there. You made a decision. It's more than most people can say, right? Other guys are like, nope, meant for more. And they go and do more. Whether they cheat, whether they divorce, whatever. Again, they made a decision, and that's more than most. And it's a frame thing. Like, they now have a worldview. They know what they will and won't put up with. They know where their lines are. And that's more than I could say for most people. That's the theme for this one. More than I can say for most. Do you know what it would take for you to punch somebody in the face? Do you know where that line is being crossed? You probably don't. Most people don't. Most people have never thrown a punch in their lives. They join an MMA gym just so they can understand what it's even like. I've been in fights. I've been in many fights. I've been around people having fights with shit like a chainsaw bar upside the head kind of fights. Cracking heads open. One of the guys my sister was dating got shot in the face by another drug dealer. I was like, holy shit, I've had a rough life. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm just saying. So I already know. Fuck, I almost fought a fucking cripple this week. I almost fought a cripple. And I didn't even feel bad about it. It's at Costco. And they have this big jar of like mac and cheese sauce, right? It's like the powder and the patches, and they have a big jar of it. I'm like, I love it. But we have to go to the ethnic Costco. There's this Costco across town that's full of like the Browns. It's the Browns one. And the traffic sucks because they drive like it's third world. The place sucks because they're all walking around like it's a third world. It's fucking horrible, but I really like this stuff. Anyways, so out in the parking lot, there is this dude in one of those fucking motorized wheelchairs begging for panhandling. And he only ever walks up to the chicks and kind of gets like a little intimidating. Anyway, so he walked up to my girl, starts begging for change. She's like, no, I don't have any, sorry, whatever. And he moves on. I'm like, whatever. Anyways, comes back as we're loading the groceries, starts getting in her face, and then he starts like hanging around the cart because he's going to steal some stuff. So I'm like, yeah, no, first off, stop fucking with my woman in front of me. And secondly, get away from my fucking food. So I'm in the guy's face and he's threatening me and he goes like he's going to spit on me. And I'm like, dude, I know my limit. If he spits on me, I am going to give him a turning kick into the face. And I just realized, like, right there, I was dead set. I'm like, I'm going to beat this man in a wheelchair. And I don't even feel bad for it. So anyways, I think, luckily, he didn't get there. He stopped. He saw the look in my eyes, and I guess he assumed I was going to follow through. and just rode off, disappeared. I was like, that's good. And it's not the first time stuff, like it doesn't happen often. It's like maybe once a year, but it does happen. And I've become very good at knowing what my lines are to cross. And I'm not saying this to be proud of this thing. I'm just saying I know, and I wouldn't have felt bad. I just know, too, the governor's going to fucking clip that. Ryan, I almost fought a cripple this week, and I didn't even feel bad. Yeah. Probably shouldn't have. But, I mean, if you spit on me, I don't give a shit. I don't want no AIDS. I don't want... Dude, I've gone my whole life without a single STD. And God knows, probably should have had it by now. And all of a sudden, if I catch, like, some spitting homeless man AIDS right at the end... After I finally settled down and now have the nice normal life, and then that, oh, I'd be fucking pissed. Oh, I'd be so pissed. Yeah, a lot of people fuck around but never find out. Yesterday, one guy fucked around while I was on my bike, and he found out fast, lost his side mirror. Yeah, dude, a lot of car people are, like, aggressive towards cyclists because they, or not just cyclists, but, like, riders in general, because they only notice the assholes on the road. And it's kind of one of those weird things. He's absolutely right. As being a person who's been hit by a car while riding my bike, I know this. If you're following the rules, cars don't see you. You're generally invisible. There's a couple little things, like you're supposed to follow, like you're supposed to be on the middle of the road, go to the speed limit, stop at all the stop. Basically, you act like a car. But what most people do out of courtesy is they pull onto the right side of their lane so cars can get around them easier if they need to. You do that, nobody sees you. If you are an asshole and you weave and you cut people off and shit like that, they see you, but they fucking hate you. And so what a lot of cars do is they're like, fuck you, man, I'm in the right, not thinking I'm in a 3,000-pound murder machine, and perhaps this little interpersonal conflict is not a good reason to be charged with manslaughter. Not that it matters, most of the time they get off anyway, because for some reason killing people with a car is not seen as kills in Canada. Who would have thunk? But occasionally you have to do shit like this, where they try to cut you off or they try to door you. And what a lot of guys do, there's two things I've seen cyclists do and motorbike riders do. Is slapping side mirrors, common. The other one is they take broken spark plug pieces and they put them in a little pouch underneath their gas cap. And I didn't know about this at the time, but like, why do they do that? It turns out there's that porcelain that they use around the spark plug. You break it up, and so it's got sharp shards. If you throw it at a window, it'll actually smash the window. It's because the entire force of the thing is on like a microscopic point. So when it hits the glass, it cracks it from there, and most glass just shatters. So yeah, so a lot of times if a guy's trying to kill you in his car because either he's not paying attention or whatever, fucking boom. Or you slap the thing out of his way. And yeah, they get mad, but hey, you know, it's life or death out there. Yeah, pro tip, if you're on a bike and you try to fight a car's going to win. That's the one thing. And like even then, you can't be perfect at it, is you have to assume that nobody sees you. You have to assume everybody's trying to kill you. And if you have a choice between following the law and getting out of danger, always get out of danger. But I did everything right. Yeah, well, you still got hit. I wish I could be more specific about this. The problem is when I got hit, I don't remember anything. The entire day was wiped from my memory. The only evidence I have from it is a card with a police report on it and my running time. I had like Sporty Pal, the app, and it was tracking my ride. So I check it later. I'm like, holy shit, average speed 120 kilometers an hour. That's pretty good for the city. And I that's how I found out where I got hit. I actually looked like, where did the thing switch from like little weavy slow bike lines and then just a straight line to the thing. I'm like, oh, that's where I got hit. So I went to the place, just some quiet street corner. I'm like, how in the fuck did I get hit? I still don't know. But, and this is like, everybody has their weirdness. This is my weird future thing. Look, I get it. It sounds stupid, but I don't know how to explain why I believe it. So because I have no memory of being hit by the car. I don't remember anything. I don't remember getting up that morning. I don't remember having omelets, whatever. When I'm walking across the street, I always tell my girl, I can see into the future. Why is that? Because I'm aware of what's happening right now, so I know I'm not getting hit by a car over there. And she goes, what? It's like, I can't explain it. It just, if I was hit by a car crossing the street, I wouldn't remember any of this, so we're fine. I don't know on the scale of stupid and crazy to like superpower it is, but I have to believe it's now a superpower I have where I can see like 30 minutes into the future. But only with my own life. I can't like pick stocks, which would be a useful superpower. I don't know if it explains much. I mean, it's kind of, here's the funny part. So like, you know how I talk about, here's a frame example for you. Sometimes frame doesn't matter. Sometimes the world just puts things in your way and it's going to suck and there's nothing you can do but deal with it. My whole chain of events that got me here was from that car accident. I moved to Montreal, and my first month there got hit by the car riding my bike because I was a kid from the island. Of course you're going to ride your cycle through thing, not realizing that Montreal is just brutal for that. So when I got hit by the car, I was put into the hospital for a couple weeks, and I missed my turnover from the other guy I was replacing in the office in Montreal. And because I missed the turnover, I was always behind on things because I had to learn as I went. And being I was working at a reserve unit, nobody wants to help you anyway. So basically it was just like, it was very difficult to get caught up at work. At one point, my boss and his CO decided they wanted to switch me out for somebody else. And because they were like, apparently the boss was just using his reservist military time to kickstart his political career. And this was like just before Me Too's and all that shit became a thing, and like DEI. But he was part of that wave. They decided to run some shenanigans where they found like some trumped up espionage charges to charge me with. And then just tell the career manager, yeah, switch him out for somebody else. We'll let all this stuff go. My career manager, though, was like, I don't have enough sailors to be sending across the country for $50,000 a pop that you keep breaking them. Fix your mess. And that started my whole year of fucking pain there. The whole red pill thing started from that. Eventually went cold. Went and fought this one with the Supreme, like the equivalent of the military Supreme Court. Fucking won. Awesome. Left the military, did the corporate to move to Toronto. Then moving to Toronto, layoffs started to happen with the Indian floods moving in. Then decided to do this full time. And the whole reason I'm here talking to you about red pill stuff now is because a car in Montreal decided to door me. How funny is that? But again, it's all frame. Like after the military stuff, I know exactly what I will and won't put up with when it comes to life, when it comes to career, when it comes to relationships. And the one thing that got me over the anger phase of all that stuff, because when you're down, your girl's obviously not as supportive. So that part was rough. But that all got sorted out. And for the most part, it was kind of, I remember it was like this one speech. And here's like a good, you want me to understand frame? This is the best way I can describe it as the metaphor that it is. It was just bitching at me about something. And I just turned around. It's like 10 years ago, but I could still remember it. So I'm like, look. And at the time I was having like horrible anxiety attacks from this and all that. Because, you know, horrific event. You know, eventually I'm going to get better, right? And eventually this is all going to be dealt with and go away. And after that, if you think I'm putting up with this shit, you got another thing coming. Get off my fucking ass. And that was kind of it. My whole frame has always been, my worldview is never to put myself in a position where I get to be taken for granted or taken advantage of. That's really been like a guiding thing. Weimer Please never liked it. He found it to be too much of a negative one. But I find just getting rid of what I don't want has made what I do want much easier to see and achieve, and I love it. But that's the thing, frame. And so every interaction I've had since then has always been within that framework. Am I being taken for granted? Am I being taken advantage of? If so, it's time to go. That was what got me into corporate work. That was what got me to switch from job to job to job. So I was earning like doing the dream, the 6-figure salary back before the inflation of COVID. So it was awesome. And then, yeah, it's just focus back on that. And eventually it led me down to here. And this is the first time I can honestly say I've had a career where I've never had to think I was being taken advantage or taken for granted, which is nice. I like it. At the time, too, it was like, was it a little bit of a pay cut? Yeah, a little bit of a pay cut compared to what I was earning corporate. But after time progressed, it's kind of been equalized out. Now I'm doing better. So I was like, it turns out all these risks that you think you're taking when it comes to you know, dealing with your wife or dealing with your job or dealing with any of this stuff. There's no real risk. It's all in our heads. And this is the part that makes it frustrating for me to see people willfully sabotage their sex lives. It's just like, you're making up problems. You're tilting at windmills. You're developing a victim frame of your life, like the Asian masculinity guys or the fucking coke heads talking about this, or the cuck chair. Like, even, I know we joke around about what's his face, Jack Murphy, and the cuck chair. I flat out told him, we were talking about this. He was always worried about that cuck article thing. Like, everybody keeps bringing it up. I'm like, dude, why do you even care? He goes, what do you mean? I don't care, but I just don't like it. I'm like, yeah, you're not supposed to like it. Who cares? Look at it this way. You did everything you were supposed to do. You were in a nice church, had a nice wife, had a nice kid, did the nice family thing, coaching basketball or baseball or whatever he was doing. And then your wife fucked you over, took all that away from you. The volleyball coach, everybody, you did everything you were supposed to do, and everybody punished you for it. And now that you come out the other side, sending your pound of flesh to God and country, if you want to fuck around with your wife on the cuck chair, that's your business. You're like, hey, look, everybody's got a kink. Mine just happens to be watching people rail my girl and watching her watch me rail another girl. It's like, can we move past it? And I remember this too, because that's the reason I love that Jack Murphy clip, is because this was the 2018 convention that shall not be named. We were talking about this. And then not less than a year later is when that stupid cuck article shit came out, and he crashed out to Sydney Watson. I was like, bro, I'm the internet nobody. I can help you. Whatever. It was pretty funny. I think you could I think you could see like 3 to 10 years in the future. Read Softball. We live in times when extrapolating future predicts it. Yeah, like I joke about like I can see into the future, but mostly what I just do is took what's happening now and amplify it. So if trends continue, the stuff becomes true. But I'm not going to, like, for marketing, it's like, no, man, I know what I'm doing. I'm a goddamn clairvoyant. Which, by the way, thank you. I owe a huge thank you to John, Orc City Man himself. He did a wonderful review of Softbone. And he articulated what I was trying to do with it better than I could. The satire, the pacing, the enjoyment. Like, to make it a piece of... Because, God knows. Do you guys know the show The Boys? It's like superheroes, but they're assholes. Based on a comic book. Amazon Prime, I think. So I guess the series finale just happened. And everybody's angry. To which I'm like, fucking serves you right. Who's watching shit now? Movies, TV, why are you watching it? You know it sucks. It always sucks. This is why my theory is, when it comes to a movie, when it comes out, wait 6 months. Don't go watch it day one. Don't go watch it week one. Don't watch it month one. Give it 6 months. Then go watch it if you want to. I waited 6 months for Barbie. Didn't regret it. Barbie was awesome. I waited 6 months for Oppenheimer. Didn't regret it. Oppenheimer was okay. I waited 6 months for the He-Man that's coming out. I'm going to wait 6 months. For TV shows, wait till the series is finished. Then watch it. I haven't watched The Witcher. I haven't watched any of the Game of Thrones spin-offs. You know why? Because Game of Thrones, I realized like I just stopped watching it halfway through. I just lost interest in it. So I'm like, clearly, I need to wait till a series is finished. So what did I do? I finally watched Mad Men, which was like 10 years ago. Finished 10 years ago, and I'll watch it. And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. But I already knew at the ending it wasn't a big disappointment. So I found out, I'm glad I've never watched The Boys, because I guess the ending was just fucking brutal. So what's the point of all I'm talking about here? Oh. Nice. What I was trying to do is, can I not just enjoy something? Does something have to have like a fuck you to the fans in it? Like, hey, you guys that bought this and paid this and watching this, let me just ruin your joy. I hate that stuff. Why would you do that? Why would you fuck with people who are just trying to enjoy something you put out? There's like a level of personal pride that I just don't understand. But he understood that. He's like, yeah, it was refreshing, because he was reading a lot of books for reviews and that. And he goes, it was refreshing. It was 230 pages, so I could finish it in like a day or two. It was enjoyable. I never lost interest. It didn't fill my head with useless data that didn't matter as far as the story goes. The funny parts were funny. The political parts were engaging and not preachy. Like, it wasn't so much like, you need to believe in this. It was just, these things are happening from these people who believe this. And it's like, okay, I can get that. I can understand it. Yeah, is there any hope for Henry Cavill with the new Warhammer 40K? Give it 6 months. Give it 6 months. That's all I can say. So anyways, he's been doing good, and I'm watching Softbone. It's nice. It's picked up some readership, but it's good because, like, now that the sequel's already out, dude, that was actually good. And that's the other thing that used to bother me, which there's nothing I can do about it. I used to be part of, like, I used to be part of an Anime of the Month club. I don't know if you guys remember this. Back when you would have to get VHS tapes of manga, there was a company called Manga, and they have an advertisement that would come out every now and again. If you haven't seen it, it's online. Just look for KMFDM Manga. I think that's the search for it. And you'll see it's like teaser trailers for all these kind of things. Anyways, you sign up for it, and they'll send you your first 2 DVDs free or your first 2 VHS tapes free. And then every month they would send you a collection of a couple more. And the one series that I got hooked on they were sending me was this one called Giant Robo, The Night the Earth Stood Still. Because when I was a kid, little 4-year-old me sitting in front of the TV with an Atari, they would have Astro Boy playing. Remember Astro Boy? Fucking awesome. I barely remember it now, but I just remembered loving it. And that same art style came out in anime like Metropolis back in the 2000s. Awesome anime as well. So Giant Robo took that and the old Spider-Mans and Incredible Hulk cartoons of like the 50s and 60s and 70s. And they kind of redid it with adult themes. And the idea, it's like, you know, international police, giant robots, a guy trying to take over the world, free energy kind of stuff. And then you really get into it. Now, here's the reason I'm bringing all this up. So the first 5 episodes, it's a 6-episode series. I watched the first 5 episodes once a month. The anticipation was awesome. And then the 5th episode came out, and I'm like, when's the 6th? And we looked it up, and it turns out it's being developed, and it wasn't coming out. I had to wait 2 years for the series finale, and it was worth it. Oh, God, it was goddamn good. If you ever watch it, it's Giant Robo. It's fucking great. And to date, I've always held every show to that standard. So that's the problem now, is that if you liked Softbone, you're like, fuck, how long until this next book comes out? So at least I got Ghost of Odessa out, so you can get it right away and get that little fix. But then if you end up liking Ghost of Odessa, which you probably, if you like Softbone, you will like Ghost of Odessa. What about the third one? What about when he goes to Japan? I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. Is Pluto the one about the dog? Hold on a second here. Pluto. Robot detective, attempts to solve the case, string robot and human deaths around the world. Interesting. See, that's the problem too with the style of stuff that I like, is that to look at it, to see its like review, it looks like some kid bullshit, but it's not. Like Giant Robo, the thing that was great about that, like Astro Boy, I still love. I remember the first episode of it I watched, like the one from the 80s, was it Dr. Elephant? Yeah, Dr. Elephant was a robot scientist, and he was making the best robot ever, and he was ignoring his son while he was working on his work. So his son said, fuck this, I'm going to go watch a baseball game. And he's like, I'm taking the car, Dad. And then he's working on it. He's like, wait a minute. Kids can't drive robot cars. Kid gets into an accident, dies. Doctor's like, oh, fuck, I caused his death. Makes the robot to reflect his son. So he basically builds a surrogate son because the one he killed because he was so addicted to work. It's such like a heavy thing for like children, man. I always love that one. And then Giant Robo, a lot of it is basically about, like the theme of that story is about kids' relationship to the legacy of their fathers or daughters to their fathers. One guy caused like a genocide and their kid has to fight for the international police. One kid decides to follow his father's dream to take over the world. One kid runs the biggest robot on Earth, a nuclear-powered robot, because his dad was trying to fight crime. So it's like some pretty heavy themes in there, which is pretty cool. And Metropolis. Dude, if you ever watch that show, I don't recommend many animes, but that one is really good. It's like 1920s animation with Astro Boy visuals and stylings. And it's just seriously done. I don't know how to explain it, but it's really good. Astro Boy needs a sequel where divorced dude remake their families with AI. No, I don't remember a lot of Canadian cartoons, but that's fine. But I mean, the point is just like good entertaining stuff. And I know we've switched over from Frame here, but I find it much more rewarding. I'm not going to lie. I've probably done more good in the world with my fiction books than I have in my time in the military, which is insane because when you think about it, one gets thanked for his service and the other one gets told to pound sand. But again, it's like, what do you want? Well, I know what I don't want, and I would have never thought to write The Dog Walker or Softbone had I not focused on not being taken advantage of or not taken for granted. I don't know how to teach it. I don't think it can be taught. Like I said, I'm pretty sure genetic determinism comes in. I think for a lot of guys, they would rather be in that nebulous area of, I could have, if only. That zone. I could have, if only. You know, if only my wife wasn't such a bitch. If only I didn't need to keep this job because my kids need a good need to eat, have a college fund. If only I could have. And it just seems like I don't even want to put value judgment on it, like calling it cowardly or immoral or weak or any of that shit. Because I'm like, it's just from a practical standpoint. Why would you sell yourself short just for a quick dopamine hit of feeling good about yourself, you know? Maybe who gives a shit about how you feel? Why don't you go do shit? And of course you can't say that either, because then some fucking retard who won't amount to shit will like leave the military on Friday and then on Monday be like, all right, now what do I do with my life? They have no plan for it whatsoever, no attempt at a roadmap. And they'd be like, well, the guy on the internet told me just to fucking say fuck it and walk around. Like, no, I didn't. We're not talking about risks. We're talking about calculated risks. You have to plan for it. You have to have an idea what you want to do at least. Well, I don't know what I want to do. Well, at least get yourself some options. And what is the red pill thing if not building up options so you can make these choices when you do have enough information? Do I leave my wife? Do I stay with my wife? I don't know. Are you capable of leaving her? Do you have the fortitude it takes to handle a divorce? Are you physically attractive enough that when you do, she'll be there or another chick will be there? Do you know? Do you know if another girl would fuck you if your wife left you? I don't know. Well, it seems like maybe there's some calculations you have to work on there. What is it you have to do? All right, let's all get in shape, get looking better, become charming, start a podcast, buy a Hawaiian shirt, get longer hair. Holy shit, I'm fuckable as shit. Awesome. Taking care of my house, cleaning up my things, fix the things, prep meals for the kids. Awesome. Yeah, it turns out I can pretty much handle my life. My life is easy. I have a structure. I have a system. I know what I want. All right, how's the wife doing? Oh, she fucks like a champ now. She loves having this guy around the house. Plus the fact that her friends keep trying to fuck me behind her back, so she definitely keeps me loyal. Well, that's great. What about you? Well, my wife just got fatter. I think I'm about done with this. I can do better. You're like, good for you, man. And then to explain it, it's simple. To explain it, it's simple. To explain it, it's easy. The problem is it is deceptively hard to implement because we have so much bullshit. And back to the Polish passport's comment about learned helplessness. That's really it. When Rollo gives that little speech about guys are going to realize the cage was unlocked all along, the only thing holding them into their sad life was themselves, he's absolutely right. And the problem is it's a pithy platitude that we can all think about and feel good about, but to actually map it to your own personal experience takes a hell of a lot of time. A hell of a lot of content, and a hell of a lot of work. God knows there's guys that have seen everything I've done and still don't understand it. So I don't know how to get them across the line. And my only thought is that maybe they're just not capable. Maybe there's some people that just ain't going to be shit and there's nothing you can do about it. Hence Rollo's other platitude about you can't save everybody. It's just triage. They are going to do what they're going to do. And you either help those who are capable of being helped and you read the last rites to those who can't. So yeah. All right. I got all the ladies now, and all I had to do is change my name to Ryan. In fairness, my middle name is Ryan. So it technically could be me. So this technically is me, even though it's not me. But that's it for this one. Dudes, if you haven't yet, and I know a lot of you haven't, I see the sales figures. I see the amount of people that watch this, and I see the sales of the books. You don't read. I get it. You don't like reading. I get that too. Read Softbone. I don't like science fiction. Read Dogwalker. I have done a damned good job, and the bar has been set so low that I can make you like reading again. Delicious Tacos. And even if you don't want to read me, read Finally Some Good News from Delicious Tacos. Signed fucking copy, by the way. Awesome, huh? Keep kicking ass, Ryan. He did. He's the reason I'm writing, which is awesome. That book is great too, by the way. The ending alone is worth it. Worth it. It's just such a cynical hero's journey that you just wouldn't expect. I don't know. But yeah, I'll make you love it again. I will. I really will. It turns out pacing makes a difference. Just keeping you interested. You know that thing where you're watching really shitty TV shows that just drag it out? And then you start surfing on your phone while the TV show's on? It's not because you're the problem. It's because they're writing shitty TV. Go watch an old episode of like 24. You'll watch the whole thing. You know why? Because it's interesting. The pacing is good. And writers were good. So this is the kind of thing that'll get you there. Look, it's $10 for a Kindle. It's like 20 for a paperback and 30 for a hardcover. You measure that in Starbucks coffees. That's like 1, 2, or 3 Starbucks coffees in Canada. That's right. And even if you don't want to read them, you can pay me and I'll read them to you. And it's good. Like ideally, and I can't get inside your head to do this, but what I love is when a book is really well done. What happens is you start disassociating, I guess is the word, where it's like you're reading, but your head is kind of like, and I don't know how else to word this, like your head is turning it into a movie in real time in your head, but you're not watching a movie, you're just envisioning it. It's like that whole, can you picture an apple in your head thing? It's like that. And yeah, you're reading it, but you're not focused on the book and the pages. Your brain is just kind of going off on autopilot. Ideally, if I've done my job well, that's what you're going to get from this. And that's all you can expect. And that's when I realized. And that's why there's like so few good authors out there that I love talking about. That's why I talk about Delicious Tacos. That's why I talk about Dan Baltic. That's why I talk about Devin Erickson, Theft of Fire. Now for some good news. Nutcranker. All 3 of them have done the same thing. I think it's awesome that there's like a whole, like, why are you going to watch the boys just to get mad and angry at it? Go read some things you'll actually like. And who knows? One of these books gets popular enough, somebody may make a Delicious Tacos TV show. And you'll actually watch that. And it'll actually be good. Somebody will make Theft of Fire into a TV miniseries on Sci-Fi or something. That'll be great. Yeah, Softbone is great. I haven't started reading Ghost of Odessa yet, but it's on the shelf. Dude, you know, like, you'll like it. And so I was when Nick and I were doing the strategy over this, there's a couple things we do on there that I think you'll appreciate. The first thing is there's some callbacks to things in the first book. Like there's some things that are never really explained. For example, the ghost is like a very ill-explained thing. And it kind of becomes a different thing, like it expands. Kind of similar to how Lord of the Rings, the ring was just like a trinket in The Hobbit, but in Lord of the Rings it became big. Kind of one of those things. The character arc works because it doesn't forget all the stuff that happened before. And it develops more of the world satire, I think is the way to describe it. Like, you know, in Softbone, why the things are happening the way they are, why the place is getting destroyed, why the scavs are sneaking in, you know, why people are getting robbed, why Zin is a thing, why Zin is a stimulant that's illegal, why everything is analog in New Kowloon. There's more stuff like that, but it doesn't do it in a way that conflicts with what's already there. It the best thing I can say is that you do not have to read Softbone to enjoy Ghost of Odessa. But if you've read Softbone, there is like a 10% in Ghost of Odessa that you'll really appreciate. Yeah, taking the time out to read fiction feels so self-indulgent, but I can binge watch videos without thinking the same way about it. That's a whole hot media versus cold media thing. I totally get it. And to be fair, this is kind of what I'm talking about, the red pill thing. Do you know how hard it is to get guys to go to the gym? Just because for 30, 40 minutes, you are selfishly going to do something that's only for you. Nobody can bother you. It's completely selfish, and it's only for you. And so many guys have a hard time getting past that. They're thinking about, well, I got to make sure the wife's got this. I got to make sure the kid's got that. I got to make sure for this and this. And they're always so worried about sacrificing their own selves for other people that first selfish step into their own self-worth is like a leap. And to a lesser extent, just being able to sit down and spend a couple hours reading Camp of the Saints while your family's running around doing their things and leaving you alone. Which, by the way, that's where I'm at now. I'm reading it slow, but it's definitely enjoyable. Yeah, it makes you feel guilty. And I know it's kind of sucks because I'm basically sitting here making the big sales pitch being, be a selfish prick, read a fucking book that's good and doesn't waste your time. Like, so many things have to come together for that. I have to make sure that I have designed it in such a way that doesn't waste your time with the story or the characters or the plot, doesn't fill your head with useless autistic information that has no bearing on anything, just making up stats for the sake of it. I have to design the spacing of the words so that way your brain doesn't get tired while reading it. The line spacing, the kerning, the leading, the typography, all that stuff matters. Because God knows, even if it's the greatest book on earth, if you have a headache by the time you get through 2 chapters, you're not going to finish it. Every house needs a nice manicured lawn is what I'm getting at here. And then on top of all that, we've kind of been drilled into our head that anything that we do that's only for our benefit and nobody else's is seen as selfish, and you need to do better, and you need to earn more money for the women and the children and all this stuff. And you're like, everything is fine. I've done my work. I'm going to fucking enjoy myself. Go to the gym. Read a fucking book. Ordered Camp of the Saints 2. It's taken a month to get here because it's not held in a Canadian warehouse. It's probably in somebody's trunk like Hooch during Prohibition. What's the guy's name? Fuck, I can't remember. I know the publishing company that bought the rights and are doing it now. They've got it on Amazon now. They don't print it in Canada because this is a fun thing. We'll end on this because it's actually kind of neat. It turns out Canada actually does ban books. And there's certain books. The Turner Diaries is an example. That's one about like a race war in the States or whatever. That if Canada Post sees it in their mail, they are obliged by law to confiscate it. You're like, what? So Camp of the Saints isn't quite in that same category. But the initial printings were. It's the ones back in the 70s and that, and the ones that were in French. And I have a feeling that's because of Quebec, not so much because of the federal government. But now with the reprints and that, because the law moves very slow and the moral, panic about books isn't quite what it used to be, you basically got free reign to get it now. So, enjoy. Beck, where the fuck did I put it? Fuck, I lost the goddamn thing. Oh well, when we clean the house, I'll find it again. Anyways, I'm in like chapter 9 so far. It's one of those ones with smaller chapters. Yeah, so it's going to take a while to get here. It took them about 3 weeks for them to get it to me, and that's fine. I've definitely learned that outside of the Amazon ecosystem, it is a lot of waiting to get books. Like the Kickstarter taught me how hard it is to get books into people's hands without Amazon behind you. Which, thanks for the patience, everybody, too. I know, especially the people that lived in Poland, it was like 4 weeks of delivery, and that was the fastest I could get it there, which is just kind of crazy. Anyways, so that's it. If you've learned nothing else from this podcast or been entertained with nothing else, understand frame. Frame is your worldview. Frame is how you perceive things. Frame is understanding what you will and won't deal with, what you will and won't put up with, where your boundaries are. Frame is the understanding that people cannot make you do things you don't want to do, and that includes change your emotional state. Frame is your understanding of what truly matters. And if you don't have it, there's some certain signs you can see. The tone over content's one of the easiest ones, but it's not the only one. And developing that frame kind of starts the ball rolling with everything. Calculated risks, understanding the life choices you make, understanding that the limits that have been set in your way are not yours, or they are yours. They're not anything that's been imposed upon you from other people. The risks are generally manufactured in neuroticism because we have been trained to act like defective women as a form of learned helplessness. And then all you have to do is stop doing it. Stop doing it. At the same time, I take no personal responsibility for any personal risks you might take because you're an adult. You need to make your own decisions, and it's not my fault if you didn't prepare properly. Yeah. Thanks, Couch from Australia. No worries, man. And 1984 is on Prevent's book here in the UK. They're an extremism prevention organization, which is so funny because it's a British book making fun of the communists with the worry that communism could come here too. And now the commies in Britain are like, yeah, no, it's a little too on the nose. But yeah, these lists are weird. It's like that DHS list with the red pill guys that we were on. Real men need to stop seeing this guy. Fuck Rolo. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. Does Department of Homeland Security not have something better to worry about? Yeah. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Talk to you soon. The QR code up here, by the way, it's for Ghost of Odessa. Grab yourself a copy. You'll love it. Softbone, Dog Walker. Maybe you don't like science fiction. It's fine. Contemporary fiction. Little romantic comedy types things. It's a, how did Nick put it? Dog Walker is a funny book with moments of seriousness, and Softbone is a serious book with moments of levity. Or maybe he got it backwards, or I got it backwards. Anyways, that's the one in there. And follow me on Substack, because if you don't, you're not going to find out how things are going with the new book, The Road Trip. Then once the road trip's done, I've got plans for a third for the Jake Long series, and I got plans to finally touch into fantasy. I want to see what all the hullabaloo's about. Can I do a genre I didn't like and westerns? So if the only reason you haven't read them yet is because you don't like science fiction, don't worry, I've got you, fam. On that note, I'll catch you guys later. I don't know who's hosting Rule Zero today. Probably not going to be there on this one either. Going outside after this. It's finally stopped raining. Toronto's going to be a normal place again. And we have like an open door thing right now where you can go watch some of the old buildings, which is pretty cool. So we're going to go on a little adventure. And White Boy Summer continues. Nuke is? All right, Nuke's hosting it. Well, that means you know it's going to be good. If I can, I'll sneak in there. I've got the link. And if I end up back home early with nothing to do, goddamn rights, I'm going to come in here and talk some shit with you guys. And if you haven't watched Rule Zero lately, go watch it, man. It's been the longest running Red Pill podcast, period. Started in like 2017. 5 guys spurned by a convention that shall not be named. It's now been like a rotation of the who's who of the manosphere. Everybody you know has been on there at some point. Tate was on there once. Myron was on there once. That cokehead was on there once. And now we got like a new generation of guys. It's pretty cool. It's like the Saturday Night Live of online content, only it's actually funny and nobody's a fucking theater kid. Watching it evolve over the years is fucking wonderful. And I love it too. It's still like indie. You know what I mean? Like it's not like 500,000 views kind of thing. So it's still independent enough that the guys can be real and they don't have to cater to the audience and be like a celebrity, a personality. It's like if you've ever watched old Matt Walsh before he got on a Daily Wire, it's like still in that stage. It's not at the fuck trophies for clout Matt Walsh stage, which is awesome. So go check it out. Nuke, you got a wrench. Do me a favor. Throw a link in there so people can see it. Because I'm on StreamYard right now, so I don't have all the options to add all the links and stuff like that. But I will catch you guys later. And we're going to end with a little ad for the Dog Walker. I'm going to do one of these. I'm playing with AI slop now, and I'm going to do one for Softbone as well. But we'll get there when we get there.
Alyssa was playing with me like a science experiment. What are you doing? I've never seen one from a dark guy before. It's usually pink. She continued examining me as if David Attenborough were narrating. Well, take a look now, it's getting late. Are you kicking me out? She looked as surprised as the last time or any time I've kicked her out. No, not right away, but, you know, soon. Actually, wait. Where are my clothes? She said as she snapped up her white panties. She never wears the comfortable panties when she comes over. In the dryer. Thanks. She tiptoed out of the room. She pulled out a slim pair of denim jeans and a white cotton shirt, just how you'd expect a woman to dress for a movie or the malt shop. A small Christian girl from a small Christian town. She threw her shirt on, and just like that, her wholesome disguise was complete. I sat up, in bed, and reached for my bathrobe. Big white, fuzzy towel of a robe. Wait, I want to ask you something. You don't owe me an answer, I said, but I want to know something. That stain on her shirt was completely gone. I love that damned washing machine. It was worth every penny. Stop drifting, Rex. Don't lose this thought. Don't you fucking dare. Yes, the stain is gone, she said. No, not that. I'm not fucking Mike anymore. No, not that either. I know that. It's that... The worse I treat you, the better you act. Okay, she laughs nervously. She's uncomfortable with this conversation that hasn't even started yet. I kicked you out of my condo, and the next weekend you gave me a blowjob in the hallway. You gave me that whip to play with, and then you told me I was a better lay than Mike. I don't even call you by your real name. I don't get it. I'm stalling. Just say it. Why do you let me treat you like this?